So this is just really to promote the adding on this cycle. Really shows you the two hemispheres, the waxing, waning squares, and the squares are stress factors, repercussions of action. Both of them. The waxing square is stressful, repercussions of action. Waning square is stressful, repercussions of awareness. But you can act on awareness, but it's different acting on awareness than acting on action, acting on the impulse. Two different qualities, but both are very stressful, and they force you from the active phase to the awareness. So in the signs, we had the freedom and responsibility. In the houses, we had the projection and the reaction. And here we have the action and the awareness, the activity and the awareness. So these are three primary modes of the manifestation of light and dark in life as the world, as the universe we live in. Yeah, well, any of these, like you got the videos, this is making sure these used to be the booklets I gave out with the classes. So, yeah, so you'll have all of the specific information. You can always print out a picture of the one page to get a drawing if you want to have it there more permanently to look at for a while. And this is where you put the two together. You have the waxing and the waning in the middle, the conjunction and the opposition. You have the conjunction activity half, you have the opposition awareness half. And just like we had the planets appearing on one side of the midheaven and the other, one side of the MCIC line, so many planets would be rising, so many planets would be setting. And they keep adding their energy to one side or the other. Here, they have the same thing, the conjunction opposition. And wherever a planet would be, it's going to be on the waxing side or the waning side, on the awareness half or the activity half. And you're starting to see the texture of how that energy is going to work. It looks a little more complicated because it's hard to focus on these different levels at once. But we have the conjunction here. We have the square, 90 degrees, the waxing square, the opposition, 180, and the waning square. And even the conjunction and the opposition have to be considered stressful aspects. Because it's stress when there's a conjunction, it's stress when there's an opposition. Hey, I'm into astrology. Me too, I love you. This is wonderful. There's a conjunction. Hey, I'm into astrology. That's the work of the devil. What are you doing? There's an opposition. Hey, I'm into astrology. You are? Why? What do you think about it? Isn't it nonsense? You run into a square. You have to struggle to impress the other person. You get the awareness. Oh, this is the work of the devil. And you're going along. Oh, Jesus, I'm some devil worshiper. And then suddenly they start to making moral judgments, and it starts to impede you. And you have to start. The waning square comes in. You have to push away to get to your own conjunction and know what you know. You can't always be listening to everyone else. You can be aware of them, but you can't always. It's not always good to act on just what everybody else thinks. I mean, conjunctions happen from a planet. They're in the sign, there's certain attitude. They're in a house, certain attitudes, and you act from there. And you go out around your house, come back in, and there's lots. At any point, you can see, oh, there's all this energy to deal with, and you're capable. If you take the time, you can go through step by step, and each one will be sitting there right in place. This is the beauty of this, but. Usually it's too much, it's too overwhelming and too much to take in at a time. So you have to learn the system, and you see the phases, and you see the critical points, the aspects, just like rising and setting and above and below, or daylight increasing, nighttime increasing, daylight's greater, nighttime greater in the signs. So freedom and responsibility, projection, reaction, activity, awareness. They're the three basic polarities. So again, if we're looking at these phases a little bit more, this stuff in the middle, that's just the I Ching, the two lines, from the greatest brightness of two solid lines to the greatest darkness. The greatest darkness is the darkness leading up to the conjunction, just before the new moon. The greatest brightness is the light is at the greatest, and it's still increasing until it gets to the longest point. As soon as it gets to the longest point, it starts decreasing. It's the next phase. So these phases, you could see anything on the conjunction side, like the waxing phase, you have extending action. If something's in this first 90 degrees waxing, you've had the conjunction, you're extending the action because of it. I always slept with so-and-so, whatever. You're extending the action. And when you get to the square, yeah, so what? I did that yesterday. What? Like, you run into a square. Then you're adjusting your action. You may not be saying, oh, so you may just adjust. I better not talk about that. This is crazy, and then you get to the opposition. Do I want to go back or not? I was there. I was not. Here's what I think. I was there, but here's what other people think, and you're understanding it. So each one is extending. The first phase is extending action. The second one is adjusting action from the square, waxing square to the opposition, adjusting it according to necessity and others. And that adjustment leads to a certain understanding. I made these adjustments, so this is where I am. Once you have that understanding, you extend your awareness. I understand this is the way we do things. So you're extending that awareness and acting based on that awareness, which is dramatically different than someone just after the conjunction extending action. So two different outlooks. They could run into each other very difficultly. But then the square comes in, and you can't just keep going on extending awareness. Everybody thinks this, so I'm just going along with this. Because then, well, what are you doing? You don't fit in as well as everyone else, or whatever, like this. So the group awareness or the awareness starts stressing you, and you're having to prove you can do it, and you don't have all the energy, so you're adjusting your awareness so you can get back to another conjunction. It's simple. And anyway, just extending this to make it more alive, more and more alive. So here we are with I've taken the moon phases, the pictures of the moon away still. We have the basic conjunctions. Up till now we had the conjunction, opposition, but here's the waxing and the waning square. There's the four divisions, the four primal divisions of the circle. Then there's the 45 degrees, 0, 45, 90, 135, 180. So now we get the 8 phases or 8 aspects. So instead of 4 major stressful aspects, we have 4 major and 4 secondary stressful aspects. Okay, where adjustments are made. Now, the thing to understand with this is most people are just counting, oh, there's an aspect there, there's a stressor, this is messed up. Like there's a problem. But really, the aspect itself is just the line between 2 different phases. And if you're having trouble with an aspect, you just have to work on the phase you're in and the phase you're going to and start moving in the direction of the next phase. And you diminish the aspect and you get through it, like breathing out. And then when you breathe back in, it's in the total opposite direction, but we change the phase. So the last moment of exhaling or inhaling, these are meditational points where meditations try to just be aware of pushing and hold it when you stop that, and then you hold it, and that's part of your meditation. However, really just a moment is not the whole breath in and breathing in and out. Any cycle in time will fall into these phases. And there'll be the primary point, the square, the opposition, the extreme, the 2 extremes, the conjunction, opposition, the halfway points, the squares, and the quarter points, the semi-squares and the 135. So here's how we see we have the activity at the conjunction, we have the awareness, the opposition, or that whole half. We have the waxing square, the stressful repercussions of action. We have the waning square, the stressful repercussions of awareness. Now these minor aspects come in, and you have the first the waxing semi-square is stressful activity. It's stressful, and it's on the activity side, stressful activity, midway between the conjunction and the square. And midway between the square and the opposite is stressful understanding. I understand it this way. Oh yeah, so what? You know, there's a stressful energy there till it builds up to, oh, this is where it is. Till you see it, till you get that moment of awareness. Then you get that moment of awareness, and there's the stressful understanding. Yeah, so what? It's going, and then you're having to make some adjustment around, and you're going along till you get to the square, and the main stress of adjustment comes in. You're trying to get back to your own center again, your own activity, and you're going along to make the adjustment. You go along, then there's stressful activity. You're understanding what's right, but you're not able to live up to it as much in the stress because the energy is waning as opposed to it's waxing. But so there's two stressful activities, the semi-squares, two stressful understandings, the sesquiquadrates as they're called. Sesqui, it's like 135. It's like three quarters. You know, like it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, and another. Well, it's a square and a half. That's the best way of thinking of it. Not even a square. Yeah, a square and a half. Yeah. So, okay. I don't want to stay here. I'm just going over these to just put things in perspective, because you run across many different ideas about conjunction squares, aspects, sextiles, and trines. So on here, against this background of the 8 main phases and the eight main aspects, we come across our sextiles and trines, the two other sort of major aspects. They're called major aspects because they divide easily. 1/1 of a circle is a conjunction. 1/2 of a circle is a square, is an opposition. 1/4 of a circle is a square. Then you get to 1/3. 1/3 is a trine, and 1/6 is a sextile. So these other ones, because they're whole numbers and easy divisions of 360 degrees, they're considered major. I don't consider the sextiles and trines major. I would consider them lazy before I would consider them major. Okay, like they're not on the stress level. I mean, with stress, if you're using it right, you can accomplish great things using your stress. But if you don't make an effort, there's no adrenaline, there's no stress, how much are you going to get done? Not the same thing. You know, so the